5-Year-Old and Me podcast. I'm Coco Brown, lifestyle diva and author, and I'm here with the fabulous Glenna Cush.
Hello.
Glenna, I would like to just have a casual conversation, so I want you to introduce yourself and speak to all the things that encompass you, your
Ooh,
talents.
how much time do you have? All the things that encompass me. Well, my name is Glenna Cush, as she said, and I'm the owner of a couple of businesses. We're sitting here today in the Boutique by Shimmy Sister, which was a brainchild and a dream of mine for a long time. And also, I have another business called Maker to Mogul, in which I assist women entrepreneurs who are in the maker and creative space. Because a lot of times you know your craft, but you don't necessarily know how to get your craft out there for the world to see. So it's a community type organization where everyone supports each other, everyone encourages each other, and we provide resources, information, and a lot of different things to help people move forward in their entrepreneurial pursuits.
That's awesome. Okay, that's two, right? Is there another?
Two, three. Well, I also have a full time job. So that's the other thing that I do. I'm a marketing director for a small business agency. And so we provide assistance to businesses throughout the state of Maryland, and consultants help businesses with those types of things. I do the marketing for them. And so I help people know that the organization exists and how they can get assistance. So that's three, or is that
That's
four?
awesome. So
Okay.
what about, I've heard of Shimmy Sister.
You've heard of it, yeah? That was
Yes.
one.
Oh,
I said that first. That's
okay.
where we're sitting today. My boutique is called Shimmy Sister, and it is a boutique for women with curves, luscious, juicy curves, such as myself and my host here. Getting ready to celebrate in July. We'll be celebrating 10 years in this location in Columbia, Maryland.
Okay, so I said Shimmy Sisters because I thought I saw you belly dancing. And
You
I thought that was
did.
something
You
else that
did.
you
That's where
were,
the name came
you
from.
instructed,
Yeah, yep,
right?
yep.
Okay,
I do.
okay,
I teach. We call them goddess parties, and the
okay.
goal behind that is to help women love and embrace the bodies that they were given, and not wait until, you know, some milestone happens before you decide you're going to get out there and live your life. So people will say, "Oh, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose this amount, and then I'm going to travel. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to," and then never comes. It never
Right,
happens.
right.
So years ago, a friend of mine invited me to come to her belly dance recital, and I said, "Okay, that will be fun." But before she asked me that, she said, "Well, why don't you come and take a belly dance class with me?" I said, "Absolutely not. I won't be doing that." And the reason was because I thought, a little bit too much juiciness. And so you just didn't want to feel like you were embarrassed. I mean, we've those of us who are plus size always experience the same thing. You feel self-conscious. You feel like all the little skinny girls in the room are going to laugh at you.
Right.
And so I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And so then when the recital came, she said, come and support me and my daughter who had taken this class in the recital. So I did. And when I looked up on the stage and I saw women of all shapes and sizes just loving the bodies, moving gracefully, beautifully, the shimmies and the juiciness was just amazing. And I just thought, wow, this is really great. So I then said, okay, well, I'll take the class. And so it's kind of started from there. Not long after, you practice and you rehearse and you take classes. Then it came time for our class, the class that I was in, to do the recital. And the teacher was like, "Oh, everybody just be creative and wear something fun." And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because up until that point, I was wearing sweats and a t-shirt, Jammin' and Jamaica t-shirt, you
Okay.
know. And so I almost didn't participate
Oh, wow.
because, as you know, the diva that you are, if you don't look cute and you
Right.
don't feel good, you're not gonna go.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. You could be getting invited to the last concert that Beyonce is gonna give, or in front row tickets and this and that. And if you don't have something to wear that you feel like you look good in, you
Right.
just be like, "Well, I'll be in the car," or "I'm just not gonna go."
Right.
And so I felt that way. I felt like, wow, I don't have anything to wear. And so I started searching high and low for anybody that had any belly dance clothing that I could wear, hip scarves or anything that would make me look cute and not feel, you know, like I stood out, like a sore thumb. Not stood out in a good way, but stood out in a bad way. So I never really did find anything. I sort of figured out something. I kind of pieced together an ensemble. And I danced completely insecure because I thought something was going to fall off of me and people were going to laugh. And so I did my routine, but it just wasn't what it could have been. So not long after that, I heard about a an event for belly dancers of color. So I said, "Oh, I'll go there. Maybe by the next time there's a recital, I'll be able to get something there. I'll buy something and whatever." Well, that never happened. I went to the event, and there was plenty of vendors. They were selling plenty of wonderful things, but nobody had anything for plus sizes. But as I was walking around, I saw women that looked like me, hips and curves and juiciness, and they didn't have any bags in their hand. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So I was able to identify a woman out of New York who made belly dance clothing for smaller sizes, and she agreed to upsize some things for me. And so from there was Shimmy Sister started. But I did that for several years, and I became the go-to for belly dance, plus size belly dance clothing. And I was sending packages to California and Alaska, and my furthest package I think was Australia. Someone had found me and was sending stuff. But then, as with anything, the market gets flooded with cheap imitations of things. People saw, oh, there's a market there. Let me jump on that.
Right.
And they had more capacity and more ability to just flood the market with cheaper products. So I ended up deciding, okay, how can I transition this now? Because I had been doing vending, and I went back to that very same conference that didn't have anything, and I was vending there, and I was a hit, and so it was great. But then after they flooded the market with all these other things, I said, okay, what am I going to do? And so I decided to open up a physical location, but I knew that I couldn't have a physical location with just belly dance clothing.
Right.
So that's how this Shimmy Sister was born, because it specializes in clothing and accessories. Because the thing is, I already had customers who were plus size because of the belly dance clothing, but now they could be my customer for everyday wear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And quite a selection you have.
Yeah.
So many beautiful pieces, so many unique pieces. It's just a really nice experience to
Yeah.
come in and shop with you and feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in here screams, I love myself. And it's a real pleasure to see beautiful scents, bags, everything you could need to step out and just look great.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's one of the fun parts for me is curating everything and, finding things that people wouldn't necessarily think they would look cute in it, and they do look cute in it.
Yes.
So I really enjoy that aspect as well of having a business and helping other entrepreneurs because of what I do at my day job and having this boutique, I got a lot of women who are asking me questions about being an entrepreneur and how to get started. Many a times people will sit in that couch right over there in my store and just chit chat and ask me all kinds of questions, and I would give them advice and help point them in the right direction.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
That's how we
Just
met. Yeah.
Found out about you on Eventbrite, was delighted, and especially pleased that you were in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I said, hey, 15 minutes from my house, this is awesome. And
Yeah.
what an amazing woman and what she has to offer. And she's helping so many women. And I love being here. Every time I come in here, I just feel welcome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that because, having been plus size most of my life and having been rejected, we all saw that scene in Pretty Woman where she's trying to find a little outfit to wear, and the woman's like, oh, you don't belong here. What are you doing here? We don't have anything that will ever fit you. And she was mortified, and she ran out crying and stuff. I've had that experience. People may not say anything to you, but if you walk into a store and it's clearly not a plus size store, but they don't know if I want earrings or
Right.
something else, a scarf or something. They don't know. But they give you the look, and, they give you that whole, what are
Yeah.
you doing in here kind of
Right.
thing, and whispering to each other and stuff. So you felt that way, and you've experienced that. So I don't want anybody to ever come in my store and ever feel like they're not welcomed, appreciated, loved, and valued. So
Exactly.
that's my
And you
mantra.
embrace all sizes.
I
I've
do.
seen all
I do.
size women in here because as a woman, you could appreciate anything in here and use it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have their size, there is something here
Yep.
that they can
Gift
go in,
items.
and they're gonna
you know.
experience your energy. So that's enough reason to come and visit.
Thank
Shimmy
you. I
Sister.
love it. It's just a blessing, and I feel very appreciative.
Yes.
And that's kind of where Maker to Mogul got started because of so many women asking me. I would have my first experience with it was a woman came in and she made beautiful jewelry, and she said, "Oh, I make this jewelry. Do you think you could carry it in the store?" So I started asking her questions about pricing and about, what is the markup and the keystone and all these terms, and she just was blinking at me like, so how much do you charge for this pair of earrings? Oh, they're about $25. Okay, well, what are you charging me?
Right.
$25. Okay. Well, what does the customer pay?
Right.
Well, $25. Okay. We all can't get $25. What's
Right,
happening here?
right,
You know.
exactly.
So I started to drill down. Like what is the cost of the materials? What is the time and effort that you put? That's how you. So we started talking about that, and I started having those conversations with other women entrepreneurs. So I said, there's something here. There are people who are makers, beautiful stuff. I mean, I carry some of the items in my store from some of the members, but you have to start with understanding that this is a business. Yes,
Exactly.
you can be you love your craft and you love what you do and it's a nice hobby and it takes your mind in a different direction, but then after a while you're like, okay, what am I doing?
Right. Exactly.
I need to have something else here.
Yes.
So
Yes. Okay, so that's such a wonderful display of your talents, your gifts. You're so willing to share. You're willing to help other women grow. I'm sure men also, whoever you come across, that understands your value, excuse me, and wants to be in partnership with you. So this podcast is all about drilling down to our 5-year-old selves. So now, I know a lot of times you meet a lot of women, so sometimes you see them at the age they are, and I'm sure you experience them as that 5-year-old self. I remember you telling the story of a woman in the dressing room that was speaking negatively to herself.
Yeah.
And I wondered when we had that discussion if that was her 5-year-old self or some time in her past that
it absolutely was. It had to be,
Yeah.
because we're just a product of all the experiences that we have had leading up to that point.
Yes.
And if some of those experiences have not been healed, if some of those issues have not been addressed, you carry them with you. This is just a shell that's carrying your insides, right?
Yes.
But the inside is suffering and still crying out, then, you'll still exhibit those behaviors. You'll still experience things the same way. So if somebody's mean to you and people were mean to you when you were little and you had a certain response, the grown-up you is going to have pretty much that same response. You may not show it, but you're still going to have a similar, like you're going to retreat. The 5-year-old you might have run into another room and hid under the covers or gone in a closet. The adult you is just going to emotionally retreat. You're just gonna okay, you look like you're okay in the room, but you're just dying inside. And so sometimes I have to tell people, because they'll close that curtain to try on something, and I guess they forget it's not a soundproof booth.
Right.
And so I'll hear them in there, oh my stomach, hip. Stop.
Right.
Stop. I have to stop people, because that is what you have. That's what you have. That's what you were given. And, everybody has a different path to how they got to where they got. But you've got to love on you. Because if you don't love on you, people are going to give you back what you give them. So if you're putting off energy that's negative or discouraging or sad all the time, that's what you're going to get back from other people, right?
This is true.
So.
Yeah, and how often do we realize this? I mean, when we're young.
Right,
you think,
children's worlds are so small. So everything that happens, they think it's their fault. I remember when my parents were going through it and they ultimately divorced and stuff like that. But as a child, you feel like, oh, it's because I didn't put my toys away. They're arguing because, I have something to do with it.
I was bad.
Yeah, I was bad and I should have listened and I didn't eat my vegetables and all those other things. And years later, that can manifest itself in interesting ways in people, very, very interesting ways. And it's always funny to me when people, a kid may get in trouble or may act out and they say, well, I don't know how that happened. How did they get to be like that?
Right. We know.
You don't think you had anything to do with that? Those mean words you spoke to that child, calling them stupid, saying they never amount to anything, and then they don't amount to anything, and you're like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
And it just manifests itself here in the store. And so I feel thankful that I'm able to provide a haven for some women to come and feel like they're going to be treated like they matter and they have value. So everybody has their little corner of the world that they feel like they can contribute, and so this is mine.
Absolutely,
this is mine.
And it's a great contribution. So how do you feel personally your 5-year-old manifests in the world today? Do you find her satisfied, happy? Do you find, how do you find yourself now?
Well, I'll tell you, I told you the whole belly dance story and how I got into it, but there's a prequel to that story. And what that prequel was several years prior to that, I was on the phone with my younger brother, and my father had passed away a couple of years before that, and we were just kind of reminiscing and talking and stuff. And it was near the holidays, and we got into this conversation about what he was going to give his daughters for Christmas. And he said, "Oh, I don't know. My wife usually picks out stuff. They have lists, and I buy whatever's on the list, all of that." So we started joking. I said, I know what my dad was trying to do. I know what Dad was trying to do. My dad was a psychologist. I know what he was trying to do, but all I ever wanted was an easy bake oven. And he's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I wanted an easy bake oven because all my friends had it, and the whole baking thing and all of that kind of stuff." He said, "Really? Okay, wow." So we kind of, went on conversation, whatever. That following Christmas, he came into the house. They lived in another state, so they came to visit for Christmas and brought gifts and stuff. I opened up my gift. My brother has given me an easy bake oven.
Wow.
And so it was a very sweet gesture because he remembered the conversation. So you always appreciate being heard.
Yes.
So that healed a part of the 5-year-old me that didn't feel heard. My brother heard me, and he went out and made the effort to find this easy bake oven. So that was part of it. His wife was just sort of shocked at my response. I mean, I was squealing. I was like, got me an easy bake oven. And she was like, okay. And everybody had that. Everybody had one. What's going on? I said, I never had one. And just to be so touched that someone would understand.
Yes, listen and follow
and
through.
It wasn't until later on when the person asked me about taking a belly dance class, the adults was like, "Oh, jiggling and all. No, I'm not doing all that." The little 5-year-old, yeah, we're going to shake our booties. We're going to dance. Let's do it. Yes. I listened to her.
Yes.
I listened to her and I took that class. And then I tell people, were it not for that, all of what this is would not be.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have taken that class. I wouldn't have felt confident and belly dance is a thing that is, it's an African dance. People don't want to acknowledge that. But, Egypt is in Africa.
Yes.
It's a little secret. Y'all didn't know that.
Surprise,
okay.
Surprise.
Egypt is in Africa. With the map.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's an African dance. Let's just call it what it is. But it's all about celebrating who you are. And in those countries, younger women typically do not belly dance. It's more mature women because it's a way that they communicate, they celebrate, they mourn, they attract all of everything through belly dance. It's a way of communicating. And so when I would take classes or when we would perform and you would see people on the stage, what you would hear people saying is, "Oh, look how juicy she is," in a positive way. Right?
Yes.
Like, "Oh, she really has a shimmy." And then when a smaller person, no offense to y'all out there who are smaller person would, they'd be like, "Is she doing anything?" Can't really see, but okay, that's cute what she doing. But one of us get up there and start, it's the reverb, and we called it all of that. Yes. And so that was the first time I had ever heard somebody saying, "Wow, that's beautiful." I mean, now being plus size is more accepted. There are still those mean people out there, but it's more of a body positive community that we live in. Yes. But back then it wasn't.
Right.
You wanted to hide yourself, and so that 5-year-old, I listened to her. I took that class. And I wouldn't have known that I would have responded that way. Because who goes out for themselves and buys an easy bake oven?
Right.
Grown person, I'm buying myself an easy bake oven and bake something in it. And the funny thing is, a couple of years later, my brother and I were talking. He said, "Did you ever make anything in that easy bake oven?" I was like, "No, I'm not going to mess it up." So he's like, "Huh?"
Right.
I said, "No, I want to keep it." And so that easy bake oven, and I don't know if she's going to show it to you, but that easy bake oven is right in my store.
Yes.
And it serves as a reminder that you must feed your inner child. You must allow that 5-year-old, that 6-year-old, that 3-year-old, whatever age it is, to be fed. Even now, it's not too late to feed her. And feeding her may mean doing something like what I've done. Feeding her may mean, going and seeing a therapist and digging deep and allowing those things to come up so that they can be healed, right?
Yeah. So you can coexist peacefully with your 5-year-old self.
Yeah, that's right.
You can sell that 5-year-old is pushing you to something better, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, people always think, oh, somebody's having a tantrum in public, that's their 5-year-old self. But it's not always a negative thing. It pushes
Right.
you to do,
Yeah.
it motivates
It pushes
you
you,
to
right?
create something
That I
so
never thought that I would do, because
amazing.
being plus size, I was always hiding in the shadows and not wanting anybody to see me, and not, it's time to take a picture and you kind of inch yourself to the side, to the back, you try to get in another position, but to honor the body and the vessel that you have is just one of the best tributes that you could do for yourself. So honor this vessel,
Yes.
Whatever it ends up becoming, because you are. It is what it is, and I have a sign that hangs in my store, and it says, "And then one day I loved myself, and everything changed. I was free," and I believe that to my core, because until you do that, 5-year-old you, 3-year-old you, until you love, good, bad, and ugly,
right?
Until you love that and
Yes.
honor it and nurture it,
Mm.
you're never gonna be free.
Yeah, that's so important. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what about you?
Okay, so
this is a conversation, so it's not just about my 5-year-old. What about yours?
So it's interesting because 5 years old was a pivotal time for me. I was starting first grade in Catholic school at the behest of my kindergarten teacher telling my mother, get her out of this public school now because she's not going to make it.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, she's all over the place. She does her work. She's interrupting people. She's over here. She's over there. You put her in Catholic school.
Mm-hmm. Discipline.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that obviously, I think, made a big difference in my life, because I don't know, it's who's to say good or bad, public school over Catholic school, but some people need a little more structure to keep them on the right path.
Sure.
And I know I was the child of my mom's that needed it, because my brother was always quiet, always did what he was told. I was the baby, so I was trying to do whatever I could do.
You were
and
curious.
if it meant interrupting whoever after I did my work, I was going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Talking, laughing, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic school, you really can't do that. But, here I am today. But, I am glad that my mom did, make that decision, because you just, when you have a single parent, you don't know what your child could be exposed to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if someone in good faith
mm-hmm.
says something to you, and you really evaluate, if I know my child, this does make sense,
mm-hmm.
because sometimes
mm-hmm.
somebody else has to point that out to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, went to Catholic school from there, had a decent experience, because once I got there, it was after they could paddle you.
Oh,
so,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
So, pretty much a good experience. I was in the same school with my brother from 1st to 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the good child. So, sometimes it's like you catch the little backlash.
Oh, please. That was me.
Like
that was me.
And
That
I'll
was
be like,
me.
I'm not my brother.
That was me.
So,
My brother was one of those people that graduated with an honor because he never missed a day of school.
Oh, okay.
I'm the girl that was hiding in the trees. So my dad would drive by. Then we run back to the house.
Okay.
That was me.
Yeah.
I was the curious one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. It's interesting to see the similarities that we possess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of started my entrepreneur journey
mm-hmm.
in Catholic school. In like the 4th grade, I was selling my mom's pickles.
Okay. See that?
So, and went from there to candy and,
mm-hmm.
But overall, school was a good experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because I'm the baby of the family, a lot of times I may be more prone to, well, it's my way or no way. So that's a 5-year-old way of thinking, because you really should, be understanding, give and take, compromise,
Yeah, and a lot of times the 5-year-old, the youngest one, because I used to say that to my younger brother all the time. Mom was tired. because there's there's four of us,
Oh,
and he
wow.
was the
Okay.
youngest. So I said, by the time, because we would be like, why aren't you yelling at him? You see what he's doing over there? And she was
Right.
like, oh.
Right.
I said, Mom was tired by the time she had you.
Yes.
So you got it easy. No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I think that pretty much is a fair assessment of my 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I've been married for 25 years now, and we got married young, so it kind of was still easy to kind of act that out for a while, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But just being around other women like you causes me to reflect. And I've met a lot of women throughout Howard County in the last couple of months, and it just helps you get a better view of how to be your best self.
Yeah,
you
good
know,
and bad.
And not just do the
good
easy
and bad,
way.
right?
Just right, good
yeah,
and bad.
good and bad.
But
yeah.
be a better you all the time. Just
Yeah.
try to improve and provide some value to the people around you. Also.
Yeah. I mean, I think COVID did a lot of things, obviously, and we're still feeling the effects of it. But I think one of the things that it did was it magnified people's need to connect and create community because everyone was so isolated and single people, you couldn't really see your family, and everybody learned Zoom at that point finally because everybody prior to that was, well, what's Zoom? But now it's like, oh, we're having a Zoom meeting. Then you'd have a Zoom social event, and you'd have a Zoom class, and you'd do all these other things. But I think people really crave that community, that sense of connecting with other people, to hear their stories and to be part of their story and them to be part of your story, So, and I think that has continued because once people realized what it was like to not have community, then they started really craving being around other people and, like-minded women. And again, that's why I started Maker to Mogul, because I wanted, a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you live this kind of isolated life and you think nobody has experienced this, nobody understands, nobody, they're going to think I'm foolish for saying it this way or feeling that way. Right. And then you get around other people and you're, oh, other people feel this. Okay, then I'm not crazy, or this is not abnormal. This is the way it's supposed to be. You're going to have insecurities and you're going to have moments when, listen, let me tell you, I have many a moment, people. I have many a moment when I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm tired. Just this is not working, especially during COVID, because I was standing right there at that counter the day the announcement was made. You got to shut your store down at 8 o'clock until further notice.
Wow.
I still had rent to pay. I had just processed a whole bunch of merchandise that had come into the store because I was heading to a vending event a couple of weeks later. So I was starting to get everything prepped. The person was in here with me. We were tagging. And the announcement came on that said, got to shut down. Wow. Who was ready for that?
Right.
And so I hung in there.
Yeah,
I hung in there, and I just like with everybody else, like I said, I have my insecurities and doubts, but you try to move past it and you get around other people who are supporting of you. And, I love the customers that come through there. And some people, I call them customer friends because they've been customers so long. I was saying to this one woman who came in the other day, I knew her when her daughter was they were going to do a cotillion. They were doing it. Oh, wow. She was doing her cotillion. She was 16. Mm-hmm. Now she's off to graduate school.
So you've been here how long?
Almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
I'm at this. She became a customer, and she would bring her daughter in sometimes, and her daughter was a tomboy, and she was, I think, 15, 16, and everything was boring. Oh, that's lame, and all those things. But now, she graduated from Howard University, and she sent her off to graduate school. So now she's out in California in graduate school. So to see, people's progress and the highs and lows of their lives, I mean, it's like, it's a wonderful feeling to be connected that way.
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of community, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you for this wonderful conversation.
My pleasure.
And I'm going to link your handles in the details.
And if you're if you're creative and you're looking for a community, go to makertomogul.com and join us. We would love to have you as part of this community because it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.